Okay, students, this is the beginnings of a first assignment, learning a little bit about Photoshop. And what we're going to start out by doing is opening a new file. And I want you to make it, I want you to title it Adjustments. And I want you to make it in inches. We're going to do a square item, a square canvas, and this default resolution is 72, but I often, when we're working with larger images in photography, I go a little bit larger. That kind of preserves the resolution a bit, and then press OK. You should have a square document here. You can push Control plus to make something larger, Control minus to make something smaller on your desktop there. All right, so what we're doing here is we're going to bring in another file. So either in your image bank or in our stock photos in Courses Drive, if you go down to Computer Art 1 to our stock photos, find any kind of an image is fine with me. Ooh, Africa. So there's a lot of different photos available. So you're going to open one of those. And here we go. I've got this guy from Africa. All right. So I actually want this image to be square. So I'm going to crop it a little bit. And I have my settings. If you see this up here, I have my settings at 1 to 1 square. So when I crop, it makes it a perfect square. But I want to move it a little bit. Oops, crop. So I don't want to necessarily cut off his head. But I do want it more of a square. There we go, and I push enter. Now the crop tool is pretty interesting in the sense that you can crop not just smaller, but you can crop larger, and it will create more background. Just a little side note there. Okay, so I've got this image. I'm going to crop it just a little bit more because I got a little bit of background there. Okay, now I want this image to go in the other image. And so to do that, I'm going to go over here to my layers palette. And if this layers palette is not open, you can go to Windows and click Layers or hit F7 and you'll have this palette here. So I'm going to right click that palette and duplicate the layer, and I'm going to duplicate that layer into my adjustments file. And here we go. And I'm going to go over to Adjustments, and there's my guy. Now I'm going to hit the Move tool here. That's the top of your tools bar here. And I'm going to put this guy in the corner, and I'm going to make him 4 by 4. He's going to be in 1/4 of this 8 by 8 canvas. Now I have the rulers on, and if you hit Control R, you'll get the rulers. Or it's also up here in View Rulers. And when I stretch using the Move tool, I will get a little measurement box there to see what size it is. If you're not seeing the bounding box also when you're in the Move tool, you'll see it right here, Show Transforming Controls. And that should be checked so that you can see those borders. All right, so this is about 4 by 4, and I have a little bit of a line right by the ruler to kind of give me 4 by 4. Okay, that's my first image, and you can see it here in its own separate layer up here in the Layers palette. I'm going to make 4 of these. Now I can also label these. Image 1, Image 2, and especially when you get a lot of layers going with a project you're working on, you'll want to label those just to kind of be more efficient in keeping track of what's what. And I'm going to duplicate that layer again and duplicate it and layer again. So I've got 4 of these copies, and now I'm going to move them into their respective spots. So at this one, that's number 4. I'm going to put it in the 4 spot. That kind of makes it easier. And then I've got layer 3 here, and I can move that one there. And then layer 2. So if you see, in order to do anything to any of the particular images, I have to have highlighted the different layers here. And as you can see, that changes as we go along. You can reformat these and move these around in different orders. What is on top is in front. So that kind of helps you. So background is in the very back. So if you've got layers that are kind of stacked, what is in front is on top in the layers palette. All right, so what I'm wanting you to do with this adjustments file is to play around with the adjustments. And so I'm going to start with my first image here, and adjustments are in two spots. It's here, and there are all sorts of different things that you can do, and I'd like you to play with a bunch of them with each one of these photos. Kind of play around, get to know what's here, okay? And maybe do a couple of things. So here I'm posterizing the first image. I like the way that looks. I'm going to go in and also do the same thing. Maybe I'll add some color to it, maybe change the color balance and do some fun things there. Kind of get familiar with things in adjustments. Now there's adjustments here, and the same menu can also be found over here. But I did notice many students were having troubles because it was adding a mask by default. Make sure this is not checked when you're using this one over here. It is the same thing, it's just in a different location. So you can kind of now move to your different images and kind of play with what is available here. Okay, so that's your first project. And then once you're done with adjustments here, you're going to go in and save it and put it in your courses drive. So many of us are, this is your adjustment file, and you're going to find your courses drive, and I believe you click on that thing there and find courses drive. There it is. Computer art 1, and put it in your student file. Find your file and save that as a Photoshop document. And as you can see here, this tag here is PSD, a Photoshop document. You can save it as a different type of document. As I mentioned in class, if you save it as a JPEG, you will lose the layers, but it will be a document that you can send to your friends, or if you have something that you want to use it for, you can save it as a JPEG and use it in Facebook or your social media or any other format that you want to use it. But you will lose the layers. So if you want to go back and edit and fuss with it again, you will lose that. So it will flatten the image. All right, so save it in your courses drive. Now the second assignment we're going to do is you're going to do the same thing, but we're going to name it styles. So you're going to set this all up just like you did before. I have one already ready. I'm not going to do it again. And we're going to call it styles. And as you can see here, you're going to do the same type of thing. Within each layer, you're going to play with these styles. Now, if you want more styles, you can add to these buttons. Let's say I want some textures. It will add, you can either replace or add to the current menu. So I have a lot right here in this menu that I can play with. So I'm currently in this layer 1, and I'm going to mess with it. I would like you to find one, though, that isn't going to obliterate it completely, but kind of mess with them again to see what they do. Now, also, some of those kind of do this kind of thing. It kind of really completely take over it. But I would also like you to look at filters. So we have a whole filter gallery. And here, I'm going to back out of this. Now, I noticed you don't have an Alt key. So step back. If you want to undo something, edit, step backward is what you want. All right, so I also want you to look at the filter gallery. There's all of these objects here where you can blur and do all sorts of things, distort, noise, and pixelate. Those are some really fun things that you can mess with, as well as opening the filter gallery. And you're all familiar in social media what filters are. They alter the images. And you have some options here of moving some of these taskbars to kind of get more or less of the features in it. So play with those. and become familiar with all those options. My goal here with this assignment is to kind of familiarize you with the beginnings of Photoshop and some of the features that you have available to you as we move forward in some other projects. Now, once you're done with this project, you're going to do again, save it as styles in your courses drive in the folder that was assigned to you. All right, that was be it. Thank you.